For some reason, it had a lot of spread.
Yeah.
And we also gave it more damage.
Everyone say hi, YouTube. I don't know if this is gonna make it to YouTube, but if you guys want to, go ahead and say hi. All right, so for context, I am the dog. I have played a bit of Helldivers after all the shit went south. Then I played it, then I got bored of it, and then I left. This is gonna come from a standpoint of somebody who's like been on the outside looking in, and somebody who appreciates the changes that they did in one of their most recent patches.
Welcome.
It does, okay.
Hey everybody, I'm Johan Pilestedt.
And I'm Michael Eriksson.
Today we're taking a look at the conclusion of the 60-day promise.
Indeed.
Indeed-o.
Okay.
Let's go back in time and let's reimagine the time when this commitment was made. What happened? What led into it?
We could see in the period following launch that we did have some weapons that were overrepresented. So players were playing with specific weapons more than others. And what we ended up doing in some of the cases was that we nerfed these weapons to make the
Okay, right here immediately. The first thing that comes to my mind is, I don't know when the promise came out, but I do remember conversations either with the community or like in general that came out of their studio. Somebody somewhere mentioned that they didn't want to nerf things. Like, they wanted to be like, nerfing things is unfun, right? And they wanted to be able to take everything else and put it up to the level of the things that were being used too frequently. We're only 40 fucking seconds in, and it already feels like they're not telling me the truth. I don't know if this particular statement, you know, reflects that commitment to the community, but people remember that. Everyone remembers that.
Weapons, like, to balance them a bit more.
And bring them into line with the rest of the loadouts.
Exactly. And in hindsight, that was maybe not the smartest thing that we could have done, because what often ended up happening was that we took weapons that players loved and we made them more boring, right? We had to take a step back and we had to look at what we were doing and what decisions we were taking.
Wanted to address the feedback you've raised on the Escalation of Freedom update. Okay, we went over this on stream at some point. I'm not going to reread this. It's on screen now. If anyone's watching this video and you want to pause here, then you can feel free to, but I'm not going to reread this. We already did this on stream.
So that's why we made the 60-day commitment. So the 60-day commitment was our way of saying that, okay, we hear you, we also feel it, we also see it, we want to address the biggest issues that we have in the game right now, and we want to get back on track to make sure that we deliver on the core promise of Helldivers. That was the commitment, but we're a live service game, so we will keep updating the game for a long time, and we'll keep building on the game, and hopefully now that we have more of our ducks in a row, we can...
And anyone else also notice they both have their legs crossed? I don't know. I just noticed that. I just like, can't you guys just sit like normal human beings? I guess maybe it's because they don't want to do the whole man spread or something. I don't know.
We can do that while...
I'm not making fun of him. I just clarify. I'm not making fun of him. I just find it funny.
Also, hopefully now that we have more of our ducks in a row, we can do that while also staying true to what made Helldivers 2 great in the first place, right? Staying true to our core vision.
Funny.
The Game Master has specific chess pieces that Game Master can use to influence what happens in the Galactic War. And then also the players have chess pieces and they have things that they can do to influence the Galactic.
I'd like to point out this is a 32-minute long video. We are going to go over this. I'm going to interject probably a number of times. So if you're watching this video on YouTube, buckle the fuck up because this is probably going to be an hour-long video. So have fun. First of all, I do want to say my piece on the whole Game Master mentality in a PvE thing. I love it. I really appreciate the fact that there is some narrative going on, that there is some sort of story sort of thing going on that people can come back for and experience and be a part of, right? It's like one gigantic D&D game, except you don't do anything other than shoot bugs. But I don't want to take away from the fact that like having a game master is really cool. And I think that's a really unique part of the game that they should be selling more on. They should be selling more frequent narrative updates or more frequent things happening for their players to engage with. Because I hate to say it, guys, it's really fucking boring to drop in, shoot a bunch of bugs, do one mission, and then leave. No one really enjoys running around the map mindlessly, gathering a bunch of samples. It just turns into a walking simulator. So you really do need to bring in other unique events or other special things that players can interact with that isn't just the same thing over and over again.
Galactic War, and we intend to influence what happens in the Galactic War. And then also the players have chess pieces and they have things that they can do to influence the Galactic War. And we intend to add more and more chess pieces to the community in this way. So for example, the DSS, the Democracy Space Station, is one of those chess pieces. The community votes on where to place it, and they also vote on what actions it should do. And they build continue to expand on the actions that the DSS can do.
Talking about the thing I just
so
said
they build on it together and they vote on it together and they use it together as an entity.
Yeah, and this will cause no arguments online whatsoever, right?
The intent is that it will never cause arguments and that everyone will always be in full agreement, as they should be.
As in all democracies.
Democracy.
As in all democracies.
Or at
democracy.
Least
We all get a vote.
We do want to expand on progression in many different...
Sorry, I talked about
will always be in full agreement, as they should be.
As in all democracies.
As in all democracies.
Or at least in the Super Earth democracy.
We do want to expand on progression in many different ways for...
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Players, so we do want players to have many more things that they can spend their time on, and more types of currencies to get new
Space
types of rewards. Cool. And we just want to make it more meaningful when you're on this journey to become a legend in the galaxy.
What's our thoughts? What's our plans on being able to communicate with the community?
Yeah, so what
you guys?
What we've seen, you're doing a great job, by the way. I like it. So what we've seen is that we want to talk more to you guys. By the way, we read a lot of what you guys are saying, just so you know, sometimes at very late hours. And we also want to do more frequent updates in blog.
Which, guys, I really don't want to undersell the importance of game companies more being at the whim of players, right? Like, I want people to understand that but I have experience playing Overwatch. I've experienced what a game company is like when they just essentially flip the player base the bird and go, fuck off, you don't know what's best for our game, or you don't know what to do, or you don't know anything, and we're just going to do what we want to do, right? I really want people to understand that having developers or having a team at the developers or whatever, actually looking over what people want and listening to feedback, have they been responsive to feedback as much as they should have been? No. They have not. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There have been a lot of outcries for a long time about things that needed to be changed, and they didn't really enact it until basically the community went up in flames with the flamethrower update, which just broke a lot of people's, it was the last straw for a lot of people. And I think they recognized that and made the decision to do this. I'm glad they did, because I genuinely believe they could have just not done anything and continued with the game in the state that it was in and just take it downhill. I do think the developers are passionate about the game. I think because it's PvE, they have the ability to make sweeping changes that aren't really super detrimental, because you're not, it's not player versus player. But yeah, as long as they're involved with the community. We wanted to start
to do streams and more stuff like that. So there's several different initiatives. Also, we're doing betas now, and they're closed betas where we can test things and we can get input from some select players. Increase the flow information from us to you and from you to us in the best ways we can.
Thank you, Micke. I'm gonna bring in the next guest now.
All right.
But any final words for the community?
Yes. Thank you to Piran, and thanks to everyone on the other side of that camera. your support and all the encouragement that we've gotten after the release of the last patch really made us all so very happy here at the studio. So on behalf...
I know we're only 4 minutes into this and this video footage is 12 minutes long, which means this might be an hour and a half long video, but I do want to say, guys, developers are people too. Like, when you work on a project or you work on something and you go to show it off to people and they're enjoying it, and then you start changing it and then you get nothing but like negative backlash, it can really affect the mentality of the developers. Like, it genuinely can. It can really affect overall morale at the office. It can affect people going home and thinking about the things that they would need to change. Like, it can actually affect people pretty deeply. That doesn't necessarily excuse them from the actions, but when there's a lot of backlash on stuff, you do need to take into consideration that, especially in free-to-play games, especially live service games that need to update constantly and like they need to be with the player base, when you have backlash that is like, you know, constructive criticism, always good. But guys, there are really not good people out there. Like, yes, Steinberg. There are people out there who are basically children that developers don't know are children, right? So it's just your username. It's just a screen name on the internet, and making, you know, threats towards developers or whatever because the person is like 13 years old or 12 years old and doesn't really know any better. The developers don't look at that as a 12-year-old. The developers look at that as somebody who's like in their early or mid 20s. You know what I mean? The demographic for their player base. So the things you say actually do genuinely have an impact on the people making games. Sometimes not as much because the people making games know it's not their fault. It's the publishers.
Studio, of the last patch really made us all so very happy here at the studio. So on behalf of the entire studio, thank you for sticking with us and believing in us. And we really hope, and I really hope that you will like what else we have cooked for you guys now in the last 20 or 30 so days, and that you are looking forward to everything else that's going to come your way very soon. Have a lovely rest of the day. See you guys.
Hey everybody, we're back, and today we're gonna talk about the conclusion to our 60-day promise. I'm Johan Pilestedt.
Bug
I'm
fixes.
Niklas Malmborg.
Let's dive into the patch notes. So, Niklas, tell me, what have we done for the conclusion of the 60-day
So Nicholas is our game director, or design director.
update?
Well, it contains some weapons that were forgotten before.
We just need a bug patch. Like, we just need a fucking bug patch, because there have been bugs in the game that have been in the game since launch, like a while ago. I desperately think these guys need to sit down and just pump out bug fixes, because I think it's starting to cause more. It's starting to have more notoriety within the development.
Well, it contains some weapons that were forgotten before, or not forgotten. We needed time, and we took our time. We did it right. We also just like looked at everyone when they played the previous patch, and just like all the feedback. We read so many posts and watched so many
I believe
videos.
that.
So many.
I believe that.
So many. And you guys.
By the way, if any of you guys over at Helldivers, the Helldiver studio, I don't know the studio name, Arrowhead, thank you, my brain. If any of you at Arrowhead, for whatever reason, find this video, hi! Keep up the work.
Sent in a lot of feedback. So we looked at all of that, plus the stuff that we didn't get done in time. And then just like, we know what to do. We know what's up.
So let's talk about the general balancing. I know that there's been some needed quality of life fixes.
Mm-hmm.
The Helldiver armor has been tweaked based on the new damages, and we've made some UI updates as well.
Yep.
UI updates
we
are
can
always
take the UI updates first. When you play the game, you wonder where the hell is the supply.
Ooh.
Pod. We're like, where is that? We marked it on the map. If you have also, I think, several at the same place, they kind of stack together into one, so we don't clutter everything. Same
Okay,
thing,
that's
like
good.
where did you park your exosuit? Well, you can see it on the map.
So, dude, where's my exosuit?
Yes.
Awesome.
Don't
Cute.
have to ask that question anymore.
Tagging location.
So,
So it just seems like kind of some of the stuff that should have been in the game that they're now realizing is like, oh yeah, that might be important to put in the game. Minimap clarity, if that's the only thing we got for minimap, I think it could have been improved farther, like much farther. Personally, I have some opinions on the minimap and the appearance of objects, especially like waypoints that are like POIs that you can see in the distance but that aren't marked on the map, even if you can see them. There's some things that I think they could do to improve the minimap.
Let's talk a little bit about the Helldiver armor. So we made it more or less?
More armor. No. More armor. Yeah, we looked at kind of like with the damage you're taking now and how much damage enemies do. We feel that the choices was sometimes too punishing or not rewarding enough. The heavy armor was not. We gave it more, so you get. It used to be like 20% damage reduction. Now it's 25, and the light armor used to increase the damage taken by 33%. Now it.
Holy shit! I did not know that. So it seems to be a sliding scale of they balanced around medium, and if you went light, it did the damage calculation and made it more damage, and if you went heavy, it did the damage calculation and did less damage. I didn't know that. That's very interesting.
Increases by 25, so the light armor is taken by 33%. Now it increases by 25, so the light armor is a little bit less punishing, and the heavy armor is a bit more rewarding.
Okay, so it's and for simplicity, it's like 25% more or 25% less in comparison to the base armor.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's fair. Okay. I think that's okay.
That's nice.
Right.
Here's something I do want to say. Micro changes will not change the way it feels to play the game. We have had this issue in Overwatch. We've had this issue in other games. These 7%, 5% changes do not translate into the overall feeling of the game. It just doesn't. You need to do bigger number values and bigger sweeping changes so players feel the impact. Going off of data and just saying like, well, now players survive 13.85% longer. No one gives a shit about that. No one cares about what your data or metrics say. People care about how it feels to play the game, right? If I walk away from a situation where I only have like a sliver of health left after these changes, then I might feel like I felt the change. But really though, like a Bile Titan's still gonna one-tap me no matter what armor I'm wearing. A Charger is pretty much gonna kill me in 2 shots no matter what armor I'm wearing. It's all about the breakpoints within the game. So like just changing the percentage values, but not actually impacting any of the breakpoints of how many things you can survive, doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can tweak that, but it's not going to be big enough for players to go, oh man, I feel like I'm dying less in light armor.
Okay, let's jump into some of the weapons. Firstly, we have plasma weapons in general.
The projectiles and the logic that dictates like what is plasma is more unified now. Is more of a projectile that travels fast through the air and then drops off speed fast.
And for those of you that are a little bit technical, the drag coefficient of the plasma has gone
high.
up.
Yeah.
Let's start off with a purifier.
The purifier becomes more of a Swiss Army knife utility plasma because you can choose kind of how you want to use it. You can charge it up and get a really big boom, or you could just click and it basically shoots like the Scorcher, or you could charge it up like halfway and it gets stronger the longer you charge it.
Okay.
You need to charge it max though to get the big explosion.
Okay, so it becomes more versatile. I will be able to deal with enemies up close using the regular single fire.
Yeah.
But in that case, it encroaches a little bit on the Scorcher. So what did we do to the Scorcher to make up for that?
Ah, yes. The Scorcher, now you can change your fire mode and it actually has automatic fire. And it has an increased fire rate up to now 350. You burn through your magazine pretty fast now if you go into full auto. So we give it a bigger magazine, so you have 20 shots. It still goes through those shots pretty fast, but you have great burst fire potential.
Okay, that's amazing.
And then
it's not really that amazing, guys. It's really not that amazing. you just shoot faster.
We have the Punisher Plasma.
Yeah,
That,
tell me about it.
yeah, I'll tell you about it.
tell me all about it.
I will. So we reduce some recoil and increase some fire rate, but it's generally in the same space it was before, but it will act a little bit differently. It's a faster projectile that then drops off fast, also much faster. Before it did like the arc, and now it's closer to a straight line and then drops off very quickly.
So that's a good change. That will feel better in the player's hand of like, instead of like this slow overarching thing where it feels like it takes forever to get to where you need to, it goes real fast where it needs to go and then will plummet. It's a good change.
Right. Which is nicer to use in a short range environment. Maybe like it's slightly harder to like lob over stuff, but it's nicer to use when you just have close encounters.
Okay, cool. So let's talk a little bit about the various types of assault rifles: liberators, educators, tenderizers, and so forth.
Yeah, all those names, right?
Yeah.
We can start with the penetrator.
Okay.
It was annoying with small magazine. You had to reload very often.
Yep.
That's usually when you die, and we took it up to 45 bullets per magazine.
Right, and then I assume
Reduce damage.
Same sort of mentality that we had before of
More rate of fire.
whenever we give bigger magazines, we remove some of the magazines.
Yeah, you still have to like look at the total amount of ammo you're
Total
carrying
ammo.
around.
Okay.
I think in total you actually go up in ammo. I think there's more, but it's nicer not to reload quite as often.
That's a good change.
And then we
That's a
have
good change.
our dear friend the adjudicator. It was lagging behind a little bit. It's still like a lot of people like the weapon. It is very nice. We upped the damage a little bit to 90, some durable damage, and slightly larger magazine. So it went up to 30 shots. We took up the tenderizer last time to 35, and then like I felt like the difference there was too big. The tenderizer.
Okay, I mean, 30. I think 30 bullets is pretty good common ground to be in. I think once you start going below 25, you start getting into a really not good territory. 25 is about the lowest you want to go. 30 is about the average, and then like 40 is about high average. And once you're getting above 40, you're starting to get into like LMG territory. But you really, really, really don't want to go below 25. Not unless you're using like DMR. But fucking DMRs don't really have a place in this game. We'll see what they do. We'll see what they do for changes. I'll be your secondary.
Can now vary its fire rate up to 850, which for those who know.
So the tenderizer, it has gotten the same functionality as the machine guns, where you can change the rate of fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a very important. Like we discussed the tenderizer at great lengths. Like why did it have 600 RPM when it should have had 850?
Yeah. So now you can at least make that choice and live the dream you always wanted.
I feel like this might be a Helldivers 1 reference or whatever the weapon is based off of. It's going completely over my head.
Across the board, all of the assault rifles have become a little bit easier to control as well.
I think for most of them at least. We reduced the horizontal recoil a little bit. Like we want to keep the recoil going up. It's easier to compensate for, but the horizontal recoil sometimes, it made it cumbersome to use sometimes.
Freedom Day things
Let's
this month?
talk about
What's
the
up?
biggest change of all the primer weapons. It's the Dominator. I love the Dominator. Tell me, what has happened to the Dominator?
Why was it in the explosive category?
Because it exploded.
So now in the UI, I can find it under special weapons.
Yeah.
Finally.
Fine, yeah. Fix the game.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a special. Oh. I mean, okay.
Then and there.
It was basically unplayable before.
Yeah, I don't know. Like
Anyway, okay.
okay, let's go sidearms, right?
Yep, let's look at the sidearms.
Yeah.
You guys commented online saying like the stim pistol, it's hard to hit, and there's some shenanigans going on with it where you aim at your friend, you shoot, but you don't hit. What's going on?
For some reason, it had a lot of spread.
Yeah.
For some reason, it had a lot of spray. That is literally the developer version of like, yeah, we copy and pasted some code and just forgot to change the spread value. Oops. That's so fucking funny.
And I'm not sure exactly why we did that, but we fixed it. So it went from we cut it down to like 15% of spread. So you'll hit what you're actually trying to hit.
But also, one of the things that we realized is that it basically had a muzzle velocity of a soft air gun.
Now it's 200 meters per second, up from 80. It does actually matter for you to, especially.
For those who are wondering, a soft air gun is the same thing that we call it in the United States as an airsoft gun. 80 meters per second is roughly, oh my god, if it's times 3, that's only 240 FPS. That's like actually slower than most airsoft guns.
Especially if your friends are moving and you're trying to hit them.
I need stabs!
That's pretty funny.
Okay, let's talk about the big boys in the sidearm category, the Verdict and the Senator.
The Verdict, it is a big boy. So it
I don't have this pistol, but I want it.
has AP3. It went up to medium armor penetration.
Woo!
And it went up in, it did a bit more stagger and durable damage, but then it was like, and now it's not kind of in the space of the Senator. And the Senator is a bigger boy. So let's just take it up to armor penetration 4, like an autocannon.
So I can headshot chargers.
Yeah. And we also gave it more damage. And like double the durable damage. So it's a big iron.
Dude! That alone might make me want to play this game again. Holy fuck, that's so hardcore. That is so good. That is actually so fucking good. Dude, just the chunk of meat getting blown off this charger by a fucking big bore pistol.
The durable
I want to watch
damage.
this again.
So it's a big iron on your hip.
Dude.
The grenades, high explosive
I'm a happy goddamn dog, man. That's awesome.
frag and incendiary has sort of fallen behind the curve.
Yeah, they weren't used that much. So we just said like, all right, if we basically double the damage on most of
Okay, I'm here for this. This was honestly like looking at this, I was kind of feeling meh about this. We're almost halfway into this video and there's nothing about this that was making me feel good until we just got here. Until the dude who just said, let's just fucking make them do twice as much damage.
non-impact grenades.
Yeah,
Maybe you'll like it. Maybe. Yeah, that'll do it. You have an expectation of what an explosion, depending on how big it is and like how big of the charge is in it. Yeah. So like, what should that do? If it differs too much, it becomes sort of like a gamey balance thing instead of just like explosions being very satisfying.
Yeah,
and that's the whole point of explosions is satisfaction.
Exactly. That's why the military invented explosion. So let's talk about one of my favorite throwables, the throwing knives.
If you can throw more of them, you have more fun. So we just gave you more.
So tell me, Nicholas, how many more?
12 more, so you have 20.
Okay, that's an increase by
more than twice as much.
Unfathomable amount of percent.
We can't math that high.
No, exactly. Math doesn't go that high.
No, only knives does.
Yeah. Okay, so and that means that I'll have more knives than I have in my cupboard at home.
Yeah, we need to talk about that though. Like, we need to update your kitchen.
I need more knives, is what you're saying. Let's talk about the autocannon.
Yeah.
So I said, let's talk about the autocannon.
Yeah.
So I said that we're never ever gonna change the autocannon. The autocannon is a staple of what the support weapons of Helldivers is.
And if we ever do change it, know that both of us are probably dead.
Or kidnapped.
Yeah,
But we changed the autocannon.
we changed all the cannons.
What did you do?
And hear us out before you freak out.
It's one of my
What did
favorites.
you do?
This is a reintroduction of an unfinished system that we had in the game.
That's cool. That's really cool. I like, oh my god, they're autocannon. They're automatons in disguise.
Yeah,
or actually a Finnish system that we have in the game and that we never use.
This is cool.
Works.
So
Yeah,
what system is
so
it?
there was we had a function to for programmable ammo, so you could change how the projectile acts and just
Yes. Yes.
at the click of a button. So we introduced flak to the autocannon.
Cool. So the autocannon rounds can now have dual function, so you can tweak them from being as they were to that kind of flak. So what does the flak that round do?
Proximity round that has a big shrapnel explosion. It's very nice. Like shooting down flyers, streakers, gunships, all of that. Like against the bugs, like here's a lot of stuff. You just like spray it with flak and everything dies. I don't know, for me it's just like I've been having so much fun with it.
Programmable ammo is something that we talked about so much when we were making this game. Of like,
This is really cool. So for those who might not be able to see, you can actually see the shrapnel moving
With the
away from
flak
it. So the
and
flak,
everything
so the
dies.
flak from these rounds are actual like bullet things.
I don't know, for
so
me
take
it's just like
watch.
I've been having so much fun with it.
So you can kind of see them here near my mouse. There's one here, there's one here, there's one here, there's one here. Like they're actual like objects that interact within the world.
programmable
You can
ammo
kinda
is
see them.
something that we talked
One here, you know, there's another one here. So it's kind of cool that they're actually like real projectiles that can hit things. Because if you watch over here, one of these bugs dies from one of these shots from way over here.
about so much when we were making
That one died.
this game, of like how cool would it not be to be able to swap the functionality of the weapon, and I mean that's why it's called the weapon functionality, and allow you to tailor the experience. But it allows for depth for players to master.
So I know I keep interrupting it, but one of the things about the system that he's talking about is something I really approve of, which is the flexibility of systems adds a level of mastery to the systems, right? Having something that can do a lot, you need to be able to know what it can do and what situations it's good to do them in, and be able to switch things back and forth. But it also makes you feel like there's some sort of progression. Like I would love if the autocannon basically said, hey, you get basic rounds until you level up autocannon, and then you get switchable rounds. You know what I mean? Like we need weapon progression within the game.
Weapons that they are already familiar with. So all the pro autocannon players out there, you'll now have another layer of depth associated with the autocannon. Recoilless rifle
Yes.
Okay.
has also received programmable ammo.
Yeah, because
Oh,
wouldn't you want that thing that fires a really strong projectile to also blow up more stuff?
yes.
If I could, yes, please.
Yes, and now you can. You're welcome. So you can program it to, normally you have the high explosive anti-tank
Is there like
rounds.
an air deck?
The heat.
Heat.
Exactly. Now you have the HE round, the high explosive round, which is just a bigger, super satisfying explosion. So you just
It's
like
good.
flip the button.
This is a good
No
change.
anti-tank. Go big boom instead.
Oh, that's amazing. So both the autocannon and the recoilless rifle will, using the programmable ammo, have more versatility, allow for deeper engagement and deeper play,
Oculus.
and also be a little bit more versatile in the roles.
Yeah.
One of the nicest changes here is
Okay,
to
this is
the
gonna be interesting.
stalwart, where its ergo has gone up.
Yeah. It had ergonomics that was like it was a bit clunky to handle, a bit too much for a weapon of actually that size and agility. So just like, no, you take it to kill stuff like hunters, etc. But if you're too slow to turn, it's annoying.
Yeah.
So it has better ergonomics. But speaking of machine guns, and you know, when you get that feeling of like you're in a
scared.
game,
I'm scared, guys. I'm scared. Please don't touch my
you're
baby.
shooting stuff, and you just realize it's not enough DACA.
Okay, I like DACA. I like DACA.
You're there, ready to reach the climax, and then it's just 25 rounds missing.
Follow me!
Yeah, it's like
And then you're there, ready to reach the climax, and then it's just 25 rounds missing.
yeah, it's like you run out of ammo and have to reload a little bit too fast. Yeah. You don't want to finish too fast.
No, and I know.
I know. This is actually one of the reasons, guys. This is one of the reasons why I put my machine guns on the lowest fire rate possible, is because I want more hold down trigger fun time.
About that.
Anyway, 25 more bullets
Okay, so
to the normal machine gun, and 25 more bullets in each magazine of the heavy machine gun.
okay,
Alright.
so both
More bullets.
the machine gun and the heavy machine gun has gotten an increase of 25 bullets more.
Yeah.
More bullets.
So it's 175 normal machine gun and 100 for the heavy machine gun. The normal machine gun also get one more magazine at start when you drop it in, so you can shoot more.
So this should put the machine guns in that role of fire support, suppressive fire, and just laying down volumes of fire.
I just want my character to laugh more when I'm shooting.
Yes.
Sound decision
Yes.
making.
That's
Yes.
how we do it.
Let's talk about backpacks.
I approve.
Yeah. Let's talk about the jump pack first. For a while, the players got to enjoy the dark fluid pack,
Yeah.
and it jumped higher, better, more. Now, the jump pack, I think the values are basically the same. So you jump, your thrust force has increased, your vector, you go a little bit more forward, so you can use it more to dodge stuff and also to travel.
Wow.
And you can jump more often. We lowered it from 20 to 15 seconds.
Okay, so it means that
That's
if I
pretty
want to
good.
be the recon guy that has the jump pack and the marksman rifle, I can just pounce ahead of the group, get into a good scouting position, and then lay down fire
I like
or report on
movement.
what's going on.
Movement's good.
Drones. Some really cool updates to the drones. Yet an additional mechanical feature in the game.
Okay.
So, and I love
new
new
mechanics. I like that.
Yeah, we love new mechanics. We've added a
Yes,
couple. So,
I do.
There's a toggle function now. So with your backpack function, you can recall and like let out your drone. So if you want to sneak past something, I mean, how often
That's
didn't you want to sneak before
huge.
and your drone just
Shot.
started blasting, right? And now you can recall it. You have that skill factor now. You can choose when to waste its ammo or when to sneak, and like you have
That's
tactical
huge.
choices
That's a
with
really
your
good
drone
quality of life
backpack.
change.
Yeah. So previously I had the drone flying out and a charger appeared and it would waste all its ammo on the charger. I can now just tell it. to
Yeah,
just
this is really
sit
good.
the
This is a
down.
good change.
Yes.
But let's talk a little bit about the guard dog, the regular guard dog.
The regular guard dog that's just mostly outshined by its cooler cousin. So we just gave it basically a liberated penetrator instead. So it has
It previously had a liberator.
yeah. So
Oh,
we gave
interesting.
it increased armor penetration and
Okay.
50% bigger mag. And now it just shoots more, shoots better, and with
just better.
the added functionality, it's just nice, and it has a lot of burst damage, and the AP actually it matters a lot because especially against bots where because it tried to target the chest of a devastator that has armor 3,
Yes.
and
There's a lot
it
of
would
buffs.
just waste all of its
Yes, saying.
bullets normally.
Right.
Now it just kills it.
That's cool.
That's huge.
Surprisingly fast.
That's
We
huge.
Saw that a lot of you use the shield generator backpack exclusively. It was overrepresented. So
Yeah.
instead of doing anything to the shield generator backpack,
They're-
we're trying to
Holy
ensure
shit,
that
they're learning. They're actually fucking learning. They're actually learning.
the jump pack, the guard dogs, the drone backpack, the support weapon backpacks, they get a little bit more powerful to even out the choice and make the choice more complicated.
Amazing.
Okay, so let's just generally talk about all of the sentries.
So we reduced cooldown on most of them, not on the mortars, but everything else, I think. So autocannon, rockets, Gatling and machine gun, we shaved off like a solid 30 seconds of the cooldown of all of them.
That's huge. That's really good.
We gave them the machine gun and Gatling more ammo. And
That's
that
good.
together with the upgrade for 50% more ammo, they have a lot of ammo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's quickly move over to
I do have to say the sentry's cooldown was probably one of the most annoying things about the sentry. I don't really care that the sentry can kill me or my teammates or like whatever, but really just the frequency I was able to use them was not enough.
the mines. So, and
Oh, the AT mines, dude. Mines just, they're just not good. Let's see what they did.
the tank mines. the biggest change that we've done to them is what they're triggered by.
Yes, what they're triggered by.
Holy fuck, they actually did a good change.
They get very triggered by large things.
But not small things.
No,
Yeah,
they
'cause
won't get
that was the
triggered by
problem.
Helldivers or smaller enemies. It will be Chargers, Bile Titans, Impalers, Hulks, tanks. Because that makes sense. Oh, Factory Striders too.
Oh. One stratagem that I see the community taking once
Yeah.
and then abandoning it. It's the Tesla Tower.
Yeah, but now
Yeah.
it's full Chad.
Oh,
And,
really?
Yeah, I didn't think it would be, but I noticed that it was when I tested it. We just reduced the charge up cooldown between shots from like 3 seconds to 1 second. So
Holy
it shoots
shit.
off more. The cooldown also shaved off 30 seconds, like the other sentries. It's the biggest thing. Like I hardly can't play without this against the bots now because it is just so nice. It's the shield
Interesting.
generator relay. It used to be this small bubble and it broke very easily. So we just increased the size many times. You can cover a decent area. You can cover like an extraction zone. That comes though with that eventually the enemies will actually pass into the bubble.
Holy
and then
shit,
you're
dude!
not as protected. But
It's
you have
fucking
a big
huge!
bubble and it like regenerates its health all the time. So you actually have to like overpower it. So you'll also
Wait, that's huge! Wait, that's actually fucking insane. So it doesn't have a static health pool. It doesn't have a static health pool anymore. It's a constant recharging thing. So if you're just getting plinked at by enemy fire, they're never gonna take it down. But like if you get a swarm of shit that are shooting at it, it will. That's actually a great change. That is like from a game balance perspective, that is super cool because now chip damage doesn't affect it, but it's also a little bit weaker because of how big it is. And like you said, enemies can go through it. That's really cool. That's a really cool change.
notice like if it's stray shots here and there, the shield won't care. He will just like man up and take it. But you notice like, okay, now everything is like a whole army shooting at it. Eventually then it will break.
But really what happens is, then is if I get pushed out of the shield and it's a rather large area, the enemies enter it, I get pushed out of the shield.
Now they have a shield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
We got ads coming in. I'm sorry,
get
guys.
into more of the like the gameplay and the enemies.
Okay. So I think there's a lot of good, I love the analogies, yeah. I think there's a lot of good changes here. All of the changes I've seen have been really good. Dude, that fucking Magnum change, that secondary Magnum change is real good. Being able to fucking shoot chargers in the face, real good change.
Shall we?
Yeah, absolutely. And the first thing that we need to talk about is patrols and how patrols now act.
So it used to be that when you did the mission, when there was mission complete, you can now go to the extraction. Some players did the mission first, and then they went like, let's collect samples, let's do other optional objectives, etc. And what the game did was, oh, mission complete, let's just super jack up the amount of patrols. Like patrol spawning.
Dude, that explains so fucking much. I didn't know the game worked like that. I didn't know the game worked like that at all. If you beat the mission, they just jacked up patrols. That explains so much, dude.
Became very intense. So then you just had a continuous, long, like adrenaline intense experience that also kind of like it's tiring to do that for a long time. So, and you want your ups and downs in the gameplay. So what we did instead was that when mission is complete, you can go through extraction, and around the extraction, as you get closer to extraction, the enemy presence will go up. You will get more patrols, and you.
So basically, instead of tying the patrol spawn rate to a variable of mission complete or not, they're calculating player proximity to the exit other than changing the spawn rate according to proximity to the exit.
You'll get an intense extraction experience that'll try and stop you from leaving. But if you don't go directly to the extraction, you will still have like our normal pacing of the mission, because that makes more sense. And I think a lot of players, like when we listen to what you guys are saying, as like depending on how you play, and maybe some of you haven't like really reacted to it, you just play and then you know it's like there's so many patrols and like it's so intense and it's like sometimes unrelenting. And we think that this have contributed a lot to that, because it's also like
I will say personally, I have definitely had instances where I'm like, why the fuck are there so many patrols? I did not know it was tied to the mission complete.
not a telegraphed mechanic, so not everyone knows that it exists, and now it will make more sense, and you'll get more freedom and player agency to play a bit more how you want to, which is important.
That's good. I like that.
Right, so Terminids.
Yeah. Not that many changes. They're pretty good as they are.
Yeah, they're pretty good. And like, what is the most annoying enemy of the Terminids?
Impaler.
Impaler.
Damn it. No, the Hunter.
Yeah.
It's jump ability when it pounces on you. You could have
That's
10
fair.
of them doing it at the same time. So we did like a small area cooldown, so they can pounce now and then. So you usually get one after the other.
I just want to point out that the other person on the couch just straight up agreed with me. And instead of doing something about the Impaler, they're doing something about the things you can kill in 3 bullets.
But you don't get like everyone at the same time.
Right.
They
you
know.
don't get that burst damage of 4 hunters hitting you at the same time in the head.
Yeah.
This is a good
Pretty
change.
Let's dive into the automatons.
But they know, they fucking know that people don't like the Impalers.
Yes.
So the targeting mechanic of the bots is, of course, one of the core components to how the bots are to fight. Like how good are they at aiming? How fast do they aim? How accurately do they shoot?
Yeah, and what do they see?
Yeah.
So we did a couple of things. We noticed there was inconsistencies. There's a lot of lines of script with this, and we noticed that some enemies actually didn't care about line of sight when they shot.
So in what
interesting.
situations would this have happened?
If you would pop down smoke,
So in what situations would this have happened?
if you would pop down smoke, there was like a third of the enemies just like don't care. And this also happened with if they had a wall in front of them, they just don't care, shooting into the wall. And if they actually poke through the wall for some clipping reasons, they will also fire through the wall. Like how many people have gotten killed by a scout strider shooting through a rock? We have fixed a lot of the feels bad moments of bot targeting. When you get fired upon and then you run behind a rock or a wall, they will actually lose you as a target. Like all of them will. Previously it was like 2/3 of them did, but not all of them.
Interesting.
And they kept
Okay.
firing, and then when you maybe ran out again, they would already have aimed. They aim like
Creatures have 2 states. They have an acquired state, which they recognize the enemy, they recognize the target, and then they have a passive state in which they do not have an enemy and they don't have a target, right? In order to prevent the experience of you walking out from behind a wall and immediately getting snapped at and shot at, like within 1 frame, developers put something in called like an acquiring time, which is when you are acquired as a target, when the creature recognizes that you exist and they're going to shoot you, there's a period of time between that acquisition and when they start firing. The reason why this is important is because when you leave cover and they still know where you are and are still shooting at you, battlefield, what ends up happening is they can shoot you the pixel your tiny toe comes out. Your tiny 1 pixel big toe immediately gets shot. And that's a big problem. So what they're basically saying is that they'll lose you as a target. So when you leave the rock, they need to go through the acquisition phase again, retarget you and reacquire you, and then start shooting.
ran out again, all of them, and they kept firing, and then when you maybe ran out again, they would already have aimed. They aim like centered on you and just hit you instantly. Now they have to retarget you, and it takes for them a while to get like the rifle up, etc.
Talk about the Hulk Bruiser.
Yeah, let's Hulk out. So it got its rocket launcher back.
We basically moved back from the change that we did last time based on community feedback.
Yeah. Keep the feedback coming. If you don't like that change either, like I guess we'll do another pass on it.
So this is kind of cool. The community said, give it its rocket launcher back. And they went, okay, that's cool. W community, good for keeping things like actually challenging and shit.
Like, we're okay with going a bit of back and forth as long as we get there in the end.
Yeah. A lot of the community have been talking about the Heavy Devastator and the fact that it's relentless in the way that it shoots at you.
Yeah. So we made it pause a little bit between each time it shoots. So before it was almost like a continuous, just like shooting. But we need to give the players a small window so they can pop up behind cover or like do something against them. So it gives you like a small window of opportunity.
Okay,
that's fair.
Let's
That's a
talk
fine
about
change.
tanks and tank turrets.
We did increase the front armor of tanks last patch, and it got weird interactions with like a railgun that's then suddenly now started to bounce. So we reduced the front armor back to 5 like the rest of the tank. We also got to, and this is basically for all tanks, we missed a bit of things with how much health their weak spots had, like the backside of the turrets, etc. So we wanted it to still be roughly as it was before the last patch in terms of like how advantageous it is to the player to get up behind the tank.
Okay.
So we fixed that.
Somebody
That's good.
tweeted at me or something around the Barrager. Like they dropped a 500 kilo Eagle bomb that hit the rocket ramp of the Barrager, and it didn't die, which seems strange to me.
Yeah, it's fixed.
Was that a bug? That's so funny.
When it dies now, it fully dies. You won't drop 500 kilos on it, and it still kills you.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody,
pledge.
for joining in on this wonderful conversation between me and Niklas. It was a very in-depth, professionally executed conversation. We had a lot of fun. Hope you did as well. If you want to read more about the patch notes, you can find them on Steam and on PlayStation. If you want to read more about the patch notes, you can find them on Steam and on PlayStation.com. And we'll see you on the battlefield.
Okay. So, all right, final thoughts. I think there's a lot of good here. Ultimately, unfortunately, it does not actually address the problem with the game. And the problem with the game right now is replayability. The grind for getting your samples, right? It's a walking sim. It's a glorified walking sim. And unfortunately, the progression is too slow for my next walk to be different from my last. You can change the weapons, right? You can change the weapons and I can try different weapons and now more loadouts open up and I can experiment with more different things, right? Because now they're more balanced and I can try to change it on my own. But we kind of have the problem with the fact that it's still a gun that still shoots bullets, that still damages the same enemy. The interactivity of the actual core game is still the exact fucking same. You drop in, you run to point A, you shoot stuff, and then you run to point fucking B through Z for all of your samples, and then you leave. There's not a lot of uniqueness within these missions. They really, really need to do something about making it not feel as monotonous. They need to do something where like there's special things that happen in the middle of an extract. Like, you know, there's rare POIs, or there's fucking, you know, dynamic missions where there's you know, like a secondary objective pops up out of nowhere, or like whatever it needs to be. There needs to be more things that change between two missions, but you need to balance how long it takes for you to get something with people just straight up leaving the game because it takes too long. If players are getting to the point where they're just not playing anymore, they don't have everything acquired, that is lost playtime. If a player leaves the game and they don't have literally the whole game unlocked, it's lost playtime. It no longer fucking matters how much extra padding you're trying to put in the game by making it things cost more samples. That player has left the game. They no longer want to engage with the game. Their playtime has dropped to 0. All of that extra padding you wanted to put into the game to make things more expensive now is worthless to that player. So my conclusion for all of this is you need to add dynamic events to missions. You need to make things more achievable or easier to access. The actual experience of playing the game will go up, not just my pew better.